Hey, we're about to start the show, and you know the drill. If you've been here before and you have something important to share, please add a capital letter Q to your comment. And if you are watching live for the first time, please let us know by writing the word new, and we'll give you a nice little welcome. Enjoy the broadcast. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Coffee and Headlines. Here we are making connections this morning as usual, but today is a slightly different day. Today, I could not find news. Well, I could find news, but nothing that was really pressing and nothing that was really nurturing and positive. There's a lot of news about the elections. There's a lot of news about the heat wave. And I made an executive decision, and I figured today we skip the news and we just go for a walk. So let us, before we go for a walk, let us take a quick look at the weather so that we know exactly what's going on out there. You know what's weird? Oh, that's funny. You know what's weird, says Snarky Weatherman. Every time you eat Indian food, the weather coincidentally gets worse on Uranus. Okay, we need one of these. Boom, boom. Yes, well, I happen to know that this is true, but that's neither here nor there. Happens with lentils too. Anyhow, 28 degrees right now. Humidity is at 64%. And our weather forecast for today says humid, with mostly cloudy skies throughout the day, a high of 31 and a low of 22. Then on Thursday, humid with clear skies throughout the day, a high of 31 and a low of 21. And then Friday, humid with clear skies with a high of 32 and a low of 21. And that is the weather. I also want to remind you that we have the spotlight this afternoon. We have two interviewees, and I believe they are both looking to give away something. I need to check whether they check that option or not. And so it should be a lot of fun. As you know, our spotlight show is the weekly show where we feature event organizers that are itching to tell us more details about what they're up to. So today we are going to have a conversation. It's as simple as that. I am going to show you the walk that I did this past Sunday, which was from the Libramiento to El Moro Paraíso, which is my favorite walk here in town. Of course, almost there. I was intercepted, boing, by my friends Claudio and Lucas, who gave me a ride for the remainder of the route. It is 3.8 kilometers. It usually takes about an hour to complete, but not today. It was a little shorter. So what we're going to do, we are going to do this walk. You're going to ask me everything or anything you want about the walk. And if you ask me things about something else, I will try to answer whatever I can. And whatever I cannot answer, I'll just do a little dance. Are you ready? Let's go. And of course, let me turn this down a little bit. My usual walk is along the main road, but this time around I decided to take a little shortcut down Colonia Benito Juarez, and I was glad that I did because I don't usually take this road. And I turned this down a little bit even more so you can hear me. And while we're walking, I'm going to quickly look at your good mornings. And purim pum pum. And see who's joining us today. Carmen and I are up to something interesting that I'm going to share tomorrow. Well, I'm going to share news about it tomorrow. And what else do I see? Oh my goodness, Salam. We haven't seen you in a while. It's great to see you. Claude says that was cool to see the terrain from the sky like that. Well, this is that app, and Lars commented on it earlier today privately because I sent him the same little video. This is an app that I have on my phone that is available for iPhone and Android. It's called Relived, and it allows you to track your walks and or your drives. Actually, if you're on a motorcycle or a bicycle or a car, you can track the route that you take. You can take photos along the way, and the app remembers where the photos were taken. So it's a great way to share experiences with friends. Pat says, I finally got out to Moro Paraíso. What a gem. Oh my God. It is such a favorite place, Pat. I love it out there. Anyhow, here we are. It's Sunday. It was around noon when I did this walk. It was really hot. I was wearing my monstrously huge hat, and I was concerned that my camera might overheat, but it didn't. And I don't usually walk around this neighborhood, but I want to walk around this neighborhood a little bit more because it's not far, and it's got all kinds of little cute streets. Of course, at this point of the walk, I had to turn my music down. Well, not my music, my microphones down because there was music playing. People were playing music. And of course, whenever we have music playing, I get flagged by YouTube. So that's why it is silent at this point. I don't remember what was playing, but they were popular tunes that, why get into trouble? Anyhow, sound will be coming back up any second. And yes, coming up is that beautiful condo building, the Remanse condominium building. These are gorgeous traditional apartments. I know people, I have friends that live in this complex, and I've always been curious about it, but I've never actually been inside. And if you have ever seen my walks to Moro Paraíso or my walks up the river, you have no idea where we're about to come up to, and you're going to be pleasantly surprised. There it is. We're going to see the pedestrian bridge that is over the river here, and this is, again, a slightly shorter way to get to the Ribera del Rio. And here we go. This bridge has been there for a long time. They don't make them like that anymore. But as you can see, it is dry. There's just a little bit of water on the river, but enough for people to enjoy themselves. And speaking of enjoyment, if you are not happy with all this chatter over the walk, I will upload this walk without commentary separately. And let's see what else we have. I'm looking at your comments to see if there are any questions. This is a mostly flat walk. In fact, I put our friend Dan up on a pedestal when he walked with us and pushed Kathy on her wheelchair for the whole walk. And it was wonderful. Claude comments that bridge is the only one that didn't get damaged during the last 2 rain seasons. That is correct. Just about every other pedestrian bridge that connects one side of the river to the other was destroyed. Let's see, what is this? I hope they don't change Puerto Vallarta too much. Love the streets, town, people, and culture. We walk everywhere. Thank you for this walk. You know, Laura, I agree with you. The city is bound to change. It's inevitable. It's growing. But what I like about walking up the river is that in less time that you can imagine, you are out of the city. And it's so quiet. I mean, check it out. Right now, you know, in between cars, it is absolutely quiet. Of course, this is a walk, as I mentioned yesterday, this is a walk that I took on Sunday after that crazy Saturday with all the crazy news, and there was just too much going on in my head, and I figured I need to walk by myself. I need to be with my thoughts. I need to not narrate as I'm walking, and that's exactly what I did. So again, if you were looking to enjoy this walk later on without me just going yada yada yada, you will have the opportunity to do that. I never tire of this walk. Oh, that was me. See, I've captioned the walk. And the walk is ready to be uploaded to YouTube without my ongoing commentary. Have you done this walk before? That's an open question to anyone that has done it, or if you haven't done it, why have you not done it? I'm just curious. No peer pressure. It is a nice way to get out of the concrete jungle. Or beer, yes. Is drinking beer out on the street legal? It is not. Are you going to get stopped in this part of town for holding a can of beer while you're walking? Definitely not. Let's see. Mark comments. It looks like a lot of new road and sidewalk repair. Yes. There has been a fair amount of work done along the sidewalk here, which means that it is a lot more user friendly than it used to be. Again, if Dan and Kathy were able to negotiate this with their wheelchair, it's a good thing. We will do this walk now thanks to you, says Laura. You know, it is awesome. And when you think about the fact that you're going to get to Moro and, you know, there's going to be food and beverages waiting, the one thing that I do recommend is if you wish to do this walk all the way to Moro Paraíso and you are walking, obviously, duh, you want to negotiate your return transportation ahead of time. Because while there is internet service out there, it's not like Uber will come and pick you up just like that. What I usually do is I have my favorite taxi service, my friend Francisco, who I call and I say, can you come over and pick us up at Moro Paraíso at such and such time? And he is happy to do that. So, you know, if you're going on a group, it's a lot more affordable. This time around, of course, my friends Claudio and Lucas were meeting me, and I kind of knew that they would be willing to drive me back to the Libramiento, and they did, and all was well. And this pedestrian bridge is one of the ones that was just rebuilt again after the two last rain seasons. I've been curious to explore the little community on the other side, but haven't gotten around to doing that. Carla says, I love that stroll. It is a gorgeous walk. It's easy. Wear a hat. It is important. Ronald says, have walked that many times in past trips. That is amazing to know. Michal, well, we've walked this together a number of times. Laura asks, will they be finished the construction on the El Mirador soon? They were working on it in November. It had a trolley too. If you mean the one up on La Cruz, I don't know the answer to that question. And the funicular, sometimes it's working, sometimes it isn't. So I'm sorry, I cannot give you a precise answer. So if you look to the right, there's a few people hanging out. There's a few people hanging out. Again, if I was not going to meet my friends, I would have brought my swimming suit and I would have taken a dip into the river. But other plans were in store for Sunday. Look at this tree root. It's been sitting there forever. Well, not forever, at least for a year and a half since the last rain season. Or maybe it was a hurricane that tipped it over, if I recall correctly. So here we go, about to cross the bridge that goes over the Rio Quale. I remember a time when this overpass or this bridge was not constructed, and the only way you could get into the city from communities that lived further upriver was by literally crossing the river. There was a pedestrian bridge, but let's say you lived on the other side and you were pregnant and all of a sudden you went into labor and it was in the middle of the rain season and you needed an ambulance, you were not going to get that because you could not cross the river until they built this overpass. Of course, if the water was low, you could cross the river, but that only happened during certain times of the year. On the right, that's the remains of a riverside restaurant that used to be there. Moro Paraíso, I think, was the name of the restaurant, but it hadn't been in operation for a long time. Look at this little sign. That sign was painted by the amazing Ada Colorina, and all the work along the bridge, all those little signs and little paintings of animals and whatnot. This is local artist Ada Colorina and her team of wonderful volunteers. They are super awesome. And there's a quick view of the river. You can see very little water, but this will change soon. Oh, and see that kid? I think that's the kid. So I was walking, I was happy with my thoughts, and all of a sudden this kid that I'm about to pass started asking me questions. And of course I did not want to be rude. I wanted to be in silent bliss, but that was not going to happen because this adorable kid was just curious about everything. Where are you going and what are you doing? And I'm going to the river and where do you come from? And your camera looks pretty. Look, there he goes.
Me parece muy bien. Sí, ¿verdad?
He's like, it's really hot, but I'm going to the river.
Ajá. Voy a Moro. Sí.
Yo la bota. De aquí, casi como la bota para arriba.
Ajá. Ojalá que te diviertas.
I'm like, I hope you have a good time. I'm going to walk this way because I kind of want to walk by myself. I didn't want to be mean or rude. But he kept asking questions. It was so funny.
De mi casa.
He's like, where are you coming from? I'm coming from my house.
No, no es a prueba de agua.
Thank you for that, Laura. My takeaway, Laura says you make friends wherever you go. It's your engaging personality. Actually, my takeaway is it's a cultural thing. People here talk to each other. I frequently hear from friends that come from north of the border that back in the United States, people don't engage with each other while they're out and about. And I will say, if I'm walking anywhere I go, I will always say buenos dias or good morning, buenas tardes or good afternoon or whatever the time of day. I will always say hello.
Gracias.
And he let me go by first.
¿Usted de qué trabaja?
Soy promotor de eventos.
He's like, what do you do for work? I'm
usted
like, shit,
estudia?
how do I answer that?
Oh,
Es un purito verde.
ajá.
Abajo le da toca allá.
Ah, ok. Ánimo.
And he was taking a left right there, so I just said, go have a good day, and that was that. Totally, Mark. He was just sweet and outgoing, and And right there on the left is the barbecue place. I forget what the new name is, but it is right there. And I appreciate this from Claude. Claude and Lucas bought a piece of land and subsequently built their home further up from Moro Paraíso, and they have really endeared themselves to the community and vice versa because they are very outgoing. They're always talking to people and so forth and so on. A lot of times, and I don't mean to shade anyone, but when foreigners come here and buy land or build buildings or so forth and so on without engaging with the surrounding community, or showing any interest in being a part of the community, things don't go so well. I'm not saying that things go bad, but there is a lot to be gained by befriending your neighbors, by being kind to them, by bridging the cultural divide. Thank you for that, Frank, but the new name is different. Thank you, Claude. The new name is La Huerta. Laura asks, is the barbecue place good? It's good for some. It's not good for me. The music is loud, and the crowd is not necessarily a crowd that I feel identified with. So if I go and I want to try the barbecue ribs, I go before the music starts or on a day when there's no music. And that's just me. A lot of people love to go and have crazy wild fun there. So now we're walking downhill, and that was like the only little mini climb. Everything else is pretty flat. But look at that. That creek usually has a little bit of water, but not this time of year. Amen to that, Laura Lynn Cameron. Time is our asset. Spend it wisely connecting with the community while you visit or where you're living. Or choose not to. You know, a lot of people choose not to engage, and that's okay. But I think it creates a very different experience when you do and when you don't. Oh my goodness. David gets up and dances when we are there with bands. I spotted my Dr. Simi this past weekend and I had a little dance with him that I keep meaning to show you, but I keep forgetting as well. I'll bring up the dance with Dr. Simi tomorrow. Was it a crazy day to walk? For some, maybe. As you can see, there's nobody else walking. There's not a lot of bicycle riders or anything. When the weather is not as hot and humid, you are likely to see more people out and about. But I can also appreciate how this kind of weather is not for everyone. Stan says you should add a step counter on the screen while you comment. I love knowing how many steps I can get in during these types of walks. You know, thank you for that, Stan. I've been toying with the with Google Maps because I know that one can animate the walks once you have the information, and you can actually do all kinds of overlays on the screen. It's one of the things that I'm trying to learn these days. Pat shares her favorite birria places, Chanfai in Emiliano Zapata and Don Pancho's in Versalles. I haven't tried Don Pancho's, but it's next on my list. Of course, my personal favorite is Birreria Tío Toño, also in Versalles. Yay, thanks for that, Laura. That's what we do here. It's all about connection. Okay, Paso del Guayabo is coming up, and for those of you that don't know, we talked about this a while back. There's a community on the other side of the river here, a fairly large community, but this is yet another one of those communities in which if the river current is too high, it isn't right now. As you can see a road that meanders to the other side, but when it starts raining, um, you cannot cross over to the other side with a vehicle. And there's some beautiful homes being built over there. But if you need a refrigerator or a stove or a sofa, the only way to cross is through this pedestrian bridge that is coming up on the left-hand side. So it is a great community, but it's complicated. I hear myself trying to clear my throat while cars pass by so that I don't cough so much. Uh, and I think it's funny. Well, it's not funny, but I have this chronic throat thing in which I'm always coughing, and but I don't want to throw that into my walks. Lars says my favorite birria place is coming up. Not sure if the guys have named their restaurant there yet. It is it's the Birria Boys. I don't think they have a name yet. Um, but yes, we love those Birria Boys. It's a gay couple that make birria every day, and they are the sweetest guys. One of them, their family lives there, and they serve birria. I'll point it out once we pass it because their birria is absolutely delicious. It's a way out to go there, um, but it's definitely worth it. Oh, this is so funny. Rush hour in the hills. Well, sometimes yes, because there's a lot of quad vehicles that are going up and down with tours, all-terrain vehicles. So sometimes it can be a little crazy, but not this past Sunday. It was very quiet because it was warm. And at the end of the day, well, not at the end of the day, but in the middle of the walk, all I was thinking of was the very, very cold beer that I was going to get upon arriving at Moro Paraíso. Although sometimes, if I get thirsty, I will get a beer along the way. And as I mentioned before, if you need to hydrate with alcohol or water or whatever is your favorite choice, there are plenty of little tienditas or neighborhood stores where you can buy chingaderas. Paco, any idea how long the walk would be from the marina? If you mean uh, walking all the way from the marina to Moro Paraíso, my goodness. I remember walking from Marina Vallarta to my home, and that must have been like 45 minutes. And then have walked from my home to Colonia Emiliano Zapata a number of times, and that's another 15 minutes. So I would think the whole thing would probably take about 3 hours. What I usually do is I take the city bus to the Libramiento, the bridge, and that's where I meet my friends, and that's where we start walking. I crossed over to the other side for a couple of reasons. I wanted to see the people enjoying the water, and I felt very, very envious. Uh, and because I wanted to give a shout out to, once again, to Ada Colorina, because how she takes it upon herself to paint all these signs, these welcome signs, and stuff like that. I think it's absolutely wonderful. Laura says she and husband are chefs. I love it. I love it. Well, there's so many places to go here in town when you're a chef. Let's see what else. Sunday is usually very busy with folk enjoying family time at the river, but it's so hot that the river is warm, not so refreshing currently. This is true. Well, I don't know that about the temperature of the river, but yeah, I did not see that many people. But further up, you will notice a lot of cars parked on both sides of the road where there's nothing. And you're probably wondering, or you will be wondering, what are these cars doing here? And they are families that drive from the city, perhaps, upriver to find a spot where the rocks have created formations such that you can actually sit in the water while the current is not very crazy and just be refreshed. I've done that myself with my friends Claudio and Lucas, who are great ambassadors to this whole area of the city. And our friends from Gay Guide, Joey and Isaac, that we talked about the other day, they live up here as well. Oh my goodness! And I am so happy to see Eric here because it is Eric and his partner who inspired me to do this walk in the first place. For the record, I have been going up to Moro Paraíso for over a decade. Oh, and here on the left, I'll go back to that story, but here on the left is the little store that our little girlfriend Melanie has. Melanie sells candy. She and her brother, and they sell candy to help themselves pay for their school and supplies and whatnot. But anyhow, when even though I've been going to Moro Paraíso for many, many years, I usually used to go by car, and then one day when I met Eric, and this happened during the pandemic, Eric and his partner said to us, well, we're going to walk all the way from Conchas Chinas. And I thought to myself, are you crazy? And they did. And so when they did, I said to myself, well, if Eric and Tommy can walk, I can certainly do the walk as well. And please remember, this was the time around the pandemic where you could not be outside without a face mask. And if you were outside without a face mask, you would be shamed by everybody. So, oh my God, there's my ride. See, I was happily walking, but then Claudio and Lucas came to my rescue.
Oh, you want to continue?
No, that's okay. Just say hello.
Hey!
That's Greta, their car. And yes, we miss you, Eric and Tommy.
Hello.
And yes, we miss you, Eric and Tommy. And Claude is sending big hugs.
I'm good.
Spritzing, definitely.
I'm spritzing, but that's part of the fun.
That's all part of Mexico in May.
I was enjoying a lovely, quiet walk, but a ride on Greta is always welcome and appreciated.
Do you want to have a bite to eat at the boys or at Moro?
As long as there's beer, I don't care.
I was really set on having a beer. Anyhow, the first time that I walked this, I was very much concerned about, am I going to die? Am I going to dehydrate or what? But it became an easy way to escape the city and its expectations during the pandemic. And it was a safe place to get away from all the craziness that we had to endure during the beginning of the pandemic. And it continues to be my favorite escape, particularly on weekends. And just so you know, the Birria Boys place is coming up on the left side. And no, they do not have a sign, but they are always there and they are wonderful. And it is on the left it's the final building of the group on the left. And we're waving to them, and it's that little orange building. That would be the Birria Boys place. And they are super, super nice. We always give them business whenever we can. But again, this time around, I wanted a beer. So we ended up at Moro Paraíso. And there's the entrance to the Ejido, which has just been rebuilt. When the big currents came last year, the left side of this crossing was closed because part of the road here next to the river started to disintegrate or erode, but now they have built more containers or retainers. There you go, you can see them on the left hand side. So little by little the Ejido is recovering from all the damages from last year, and just in time because it is going to get rainy sometime in the near future. And I was singing dirty songs at this part of the road, which is why we turned down the volume again. I was happy. And usually when I'm walking, as soon as I see that building that's coming up on the left-hand side, I know that we're almost there, because it's like 3 minutes past this event hall. This is where like the ejido throws all their big parties and their banda stuff. I keep joking, that's where I want to get married, wearing a fabulous big dress. Just kidding. And Moro Paraíso is coming up on the left. And of course, all this time I have not even mentioned what it is, and I'll be happy to mention it. Moro Paraíso is a countryside restaurant, Mexican-style restaurant right next to the Rio Cuale that serves lovely food. There it is. They serve easy food. They serve cocktails. They serve tour guides and tours, just like, you know, we were wanting to park, but all these tourists were coming down from the mountain. And going to Moro Paraíso to spend an afternoon is just such a great option. You can choose to hang out on at the restaurant, or if you bring a bathing suit, you can choose to go swimming near the restaurant, or you know, you can choose to go for a little walk and smoke. Yes, I did say that. And it's like spending time with family. Yay! And that is, or rather, that was my Sunday walk. It was a very, very nurturing walk because it allowed me to clear my mind from all the stuff that went on last week. It was great to spend time with friends. And just like it was great to spend time with friends then, it is great to spend time with you today. And this brings us to the end of our time together today. I appreciate your company, and I appreciate that some of you stuck around. Again, this walk will be featured on its own without me going yada, yada, yada. In a few days, I will upload it to YouTube. And that's what we had for today. Thank you so much for joining me. And I look forward to seeing some of you this afternoon if you want to watch the spotlight. And I look forward to seeing all of you tomorrow or whenever we cross paths again. Between now and then, have a great day. Stay cool. And I'll hopefully see you soon. Bye.